So when we love, it's impossible to feel love and lack oneness. It doesn't work that way. Even though people think romantically that's how it's done. I'm going to single one out who I find worthy of my tolerance to be my life mate. Isn't that sweet? No, not really. Not if they're intelligent enough to see through what's really happening, you know. But love really does heal. Love really does do the things we want it to do, but people forgot the power behind it. Forgiveness is what restores us to a state of love, but love is where the magic is. And for me, when I asked myself many, many years ago, people go, how did you know that? How did you know you're psychic? And yeah, I am psychic and intuitive and this and that and the other, but those are symptoms technically. If you don't love, you can't truly be intuitive. You could develop psychic skills because they're skills. Believe it or not, psychic skills are like any other skill, whether it's flower arrangements, architecture, mechanic, in a shop somewhere. Psychic skills can be developed with very little heart, but I don't call that intuition. I call it psychic skills. True intuition is of a higher center than psychic skills. And I'm not putting down psychics because I'm a psychic and you're a psychic. Okay, that's fine. But one is coming from you and the other is coming from a higher power. So a psychic can only be psychic, but a psychic can also be intuitive, which is different. I'm relying and calling upon a higher thing. That higher thing, how do you develop that? People would say to me, Michael, can you do a workshop where you certify us? In what? Love 101? Love level 1, love level 2. And I've had people say, well, come on, show us how to be, if I wanted money, I would. Love level 1. Love, which is only $50. Love level 2, it's only $150. Love level 3, $50,000. That's how they do it, I'm sorry, it's a funnel technique. So they do that. Well, I've answered my closest friends on this question, closest students on this question. I say, I can't, because I can't with a clear conscience guarantee that they graduated being more loving. The intuition, they would say, teach us the healing things you do, the healing skills. You can't. You have to love people, and I can't certify you in love. You just have to want to do it, and it's free. Just start with even liking people more. Level 1, just like people. Level 2, be nice. We'll have a down moments, but if I like people, I should care about them more. And yeah, level 3, if there were such a thing. I'm just making this up as I'm saying this, so bear with me, but level 3, love. And so I care about people, I being any of us. I really love people. How do I know? Because I really care. How do I know? I'd like to make a difference. If you see those common phrases, then you're kind of going in the right direction. And then, of course, all the skill, the work, that you'd put into A Course in Miracles workbook lessons, your deep meditations from whatever system you're into, any of that's going to add to it, clearly. It centers you more, it empowers you more, and so on. But love. If you don't have the love and respect for people, you're going to be missing something again. So that's a big part of what happens. And so because I'm in that state, like Edgar Cayce did these incredible readings, he developed his skills and his consciousness over lifetimes. Over lifetimes. And strange things made him what he is. Some things that were just devotion to God. And for example, one lifetime of his, he was dying in a desert of thirst and starvation. And he was in horrible pain in a long ago lifetime. But he was in such pain that he was just, even if he was a soldier, let's say, just an average guy, in his pain, he was telling himself, I need to leave my body so I don't feel the pain. The skill of leaving his body added to the equation of becoming Edgar Cayce with his ability to leave his body and leave his ego behind and channel clearly. You don't know what's going to add up in your own lives to get you where you want to get, where you want to be. Whether it's I want to be a better mom or whatever. These skills and so forth, they build over time. They're decisions in the moment today, but they're also often built over time. So I'm not negating that I might have picked up this and that over lifetimes, but I don't care. If I don't make the choice today to be as good a person as I can be, it could really quash all my other efforts from lifetimes. It really can. Now, it doesn't mean you lose that for a long duration, but you can lose it for a period, as it happened to Casey too in his lifetimes. He lost it a couple lifetimes. But it can come back when you make a righteous decision to get that back. So tuning in and feeling intuitive and saying things that go, people, how did he know? And so on and so on. It really does come back not to, Michael's got skills. It's Michael's choosing to be as loving as possible. And anybody can choose to be loving. Anybody. But whatever's in the way of doing that becomes our work. For some people, it's I would like to be more loving for all humanity, but there's a couple people I just haven't been able to forgive it. No problem. No, it's no problem. Just see that and know that that's your work. Yeah, but they're gone now, or they've passed on, or they moved away, and I don't know how to do the work with them. Spirit's going to bring you part 2 of them and part 3 of them through clerks in a store and, people in the roundabouts at Sedona here, or through your children, People keep wanting to see angels. What you really need to be willing to look at are the devils. Because if you can look at them, they'll turn into angels, and you've never done more work on earth, more powerful work, than when you've turned a devil into an angel. Anybody can see angels. I mean, Jesus said something along these lines too, of course, but anybody can see angels. But imagine you're in this vortex in Sedona, out in the red rocks, and you smudged and you fluted and everything's kind of boom, 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 boom. Everything's just really cool and just right, and you're just in a great trance kind of spiritual meditation, and you just get this feeling like the earth kind of quakes a little bit. Sometimes people have felt that, and sometimes there's this vortex, this thing that opens above you and around you, and there's like, wow, and you can just hear the sounds, high frequencies of angels. And it's their vibration that you hear. They don't actually pluck harps and sing. Oh, Solomia. It's their vibration you're hearing. And it's so high that it sounds like the choir of angels. They're not actually singing. You're actually hearing their frequency, which is just beautiful. And all this is happening. But what people don't expect is out of all that, and then the golden light, and all this wonderful, and the clouds are kind of doing something unique, and oh my God, this is the presence of ascended masters. Oh, I feel Kutumi here and Saint Germain. It's all set up, the pillars of, power around you. What would you do if in the midst of all that, it's all set, and here comes the voice of God, and peering through the veil of illusion is your ex? Think about it, like, me again. Do you have anything else I can take? Think about it. This is all just coming to me, sorry, but wow, right? And most of us would get kind of sick to our stomach and disturbed by it. I mean, really, it's kind of visceral for us when the shock of, I was having this holy moment and then something evil came. No. How do you know that wasn't the greatest opportunity you've ever had? That person, I've said this many times, everybody with their altars and Buddhas and little things all over their altars, they don't usually have photos of their exes on there. Because that's an inconvenience to your spirituality. And I'm not saying go and put a picture of them. I'm just saying think of the humor behind it. That at the end of the day, you are the most holy when you're the most forgiving. When I say forgiving, never interpret my commentaries about forgiveness to be related to enabling. Okay, Michael said I'm supposed to just be okay and forgive my ex for all the stuff they did. Not at all. Not at all. This course that we're starting up this Wednesday, one of the things I want to share with people is how to deal with people from the past. So it's on relationships and intimacy and other topics on and on. But the reason it's partly on relationships is I want to get back to that with folks that are just at that final step with people from the past. How to deal with those, the finale, let's say. So we really get perturbed when they come back into our minds. This doesn't negate that people have acted hurtfully. I'm not saying, pretend it didn't happen. Nor that you got hurt. You did. I'm not going to be one of those teachers to tell you, pretend it didn't happen. Or try to dress it up. Bottom line is people act hurtfully and selfishly, and it hurts. The question about forgiveness and what changes this is, and what do I want to do with it now? I am never going to stop thinking about it. I'm never going to stop thinking about them. I'm going to curse them till the end of time is one option. Another option is, I think I'm ready to actually enter a more empowered life where even if that has happened, and even if I felt hurt, I'm going to wash off the hurt and say goodbye to its effects on me. I'm ready to go to another level of consciousness. Now, once you do that, it starts to make more sense than before you do it. Because before you actually take that step into higher forgiveness levels, it's going to sound really strange, really arbitrary, far-fetched. But once it starts happening and kicking in, it's quite fabulous. So here's an idea, here's a question. Think about, just for a moment, it's not a meditation per se, but think about how many different ways you have consciously in your life, past, present, or future, all the different ways you have worked to improve yourself. Just sit with that for a second. Even if this is sort of a meditation, just sit with it for a moment. Eating better, gave up an addiction, work with that, play with that, tune into that. Okay? Gave up an unhealthy relationship, did some inner child work. Okay? Come up with at least a couple. Started reading, meditating, all these things. Things you gave up or things you added that are positive. Just raise a hand and we'll name some out loud. Okay? Think of a couple and raise a hand. Yes?
I've incorporated the Ho'oponopono practice.
The Hawaiian Ho'oponopono healing forgiveness practice. Anybody else? Yes?
I've given up anger.
Working on giving up anger. Yes? For you too?
Yes.
Okay. Yes?
I've been tracking for years.
Doing a tracking exercise that we do, here regularly at Unity of Sedona. It's to see what's behind issues. Yes?
Giving up gossip.
Giving up gossip. How many? Prayer, meditation, Course in Miracles, better diet, practicing forgiveness, hiking, working out, addiction, coming to Unity of Sedona, watching the broadcasts.
Taking God to work with me by saying I am and walking through the trees.
Nice, nice. So having is that a meditative practice or literal? So seeing yourself, okay, good.
Walking I am. And
Walking the I am presence. Beautiful. Who else? Practicing gratitude.
It is wise not to despise it. Use the dung to fertilize it for life's greatest connoisseur. Gets the best crops from the best manure.
Okay. I can't repeat that, but okay. Thank you. Thank you. And what about Druid work? Native American traditions, right? Okay. Look at the variety of things. And that's only naming in a 60-second exercise, naming the things. And that's not by any stretch all the things we've done to become more spiritual. Now, this is important because hidden behind all of the things we've ever done, I think I'm going to give up sugar or white bread or whatever it is. Be hidden behind everything we've ever done in any lifetime to improve ourselves is all the same. It's about a search for God. Believe it or not. Believe it or not, when you got into this or to stop doing that, when you said no to hurtful things that was actually concealing, truly you were looking for God. When you try to get rid of something that's yucky, it's because you want more God. When you're trying to bring in something that's the opposite of yucky and wonderful, it's more God. All we're ever really doing, it's beautiful. Consciously or unconsciously, it's all a search for God. So it's kind of cool. Like, Okay. And if you really get that, it might feel comfortable to hear that, and it might feel uncomfortable, because some people don't want it to all be one thing. They want to complicate it and make it, no. This isn't all a search for God. This is, I want to do this, and I want to do this 10 times a day. And over here, they want stuff to think about and obsess on. But it's really, really something that's peaceful when you say it all comes back to the same thing. And if it does, then how can you ever wrong or shame anybody's version of that thing? You see what I'm saying? It's not like, oh, I see you're into that practice. Oh, yeah, I used to be into that. I'm way beyond that now. You're not way beyond anything, because anything you're ever doing is still you and your search for God. So think about that. And then add one more thing. What if it's true, and I promise you it is, we're already home? What if you're already home? What if all the things you're doing to get home are, when you eventually get home, going to be things you look back and say, I had it all along? Right? So how might that change how I do things? One is a quest, and one is an expression of being. Now it changes everything I'm going to do. I was meditating once a day to make sure that I'm, whatever. Developing mind, power, stillness, and whatever. Somebody else is, I go walking because I want to check my little watch and how many feet I've taken, steps, and, and gauge this. Wait, how's my glucose and how's my pulse, and, are my eyes clear? All these different things to become healthier, spiritual, and all that, which are not a problem. But when you really start getting it, the tradition, even in deep Buddhist and Hindu prayers and meditations, they often have taught that you go from the doer and you start retreating deeper and deeper and realize everything on earth is a waste because it's still of the earth. Just stillness, 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 stillness. And they often get to a place of, I'm just sort of washing my hands of any involvement in this world. Have you heard of that or seen that? That's not the end. You're supposed to, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water, and after enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. What you're supposed to do, and what's inevitably going to happen. You can think you're done when you've done I've withdrawn from my investments in the world. You're not done. Yes, I am. Look, I've withdrawn my investments. No. You're there when you had investments, stage 1, released your investments, stage 2, and then, without investment, came back and engaged again. Before I let it all go, I ate such and such, I drank water, I went to the gym, or I didn't go to the gym, I had children, whatever you did, whatever was your life. As we grow, we start withdrawing investment from it. And that's one way to know that you're even growing. It's not because I'm saying there's a vow I want you to take to withdraw your investments of the world. That's a religion or a cult. Instead, what I'm saying is it's organic. If you've noticed that you have less investment, less reactions, basically less affirming that this world has power over you. That's what it's really doing. What does that mean if I'm saying the world has less power? You're emptying your old way so that something new can come. What do you think the new is going to be? There is but one power in the universe, God, which is love. So that whole mind training, 3 steps. I think I know nothing, got it. It's just beautiful. So we go through this. It doesn't matter what politic, it doesn't matter what issues you get behind, environmental. My thing is all about, don't let them cut down the trees. All of it is a search for God. So Spirit isn't going to tell you that it's right or wrong at all. Because it's more like, what is the spirit with which you do it? If you fight for a cause with hate, then you have forgotten your search for God. When you do something from love, it affirms you're getting it again. So just gauge and look at anything you do and ask yourself, what's the spirit behind it? Do I feel a charge? If so, oh, God, it just flew in under the radar. I thought that my passionate love for such and such was clearly from God, but nothing can be clearly from God until you've erased what wasn't from God. So looking at all the investments, all what you think is righteous, it can't be righteous until it goes through the stages. That you thought it was righteous, you found what wasn't righteous about it, and now you got it. Natural organic stages. Everything goes through 3 stages, including love. Man, I really am in love with you, which is really, I think I'm in love with you. Then it's, no. I guess not. And we usually end it right there. The 3rd stage is, but I'm determined to love you from a higher level. I'm not going to live with you again, but I love you. Goodbye, if that's what I need to do. And if after we part ways and I still feel charges and issues, I've got work to do. You're never done just because they actually moved out. You know, U-Haul is not some sort of a mantra for they're gone. You know, U-Haul. They haul their issues with them, you haul your issues with you. So we do yoga. I'm going to do more water because I heard that purifies your being, and it's great. What's the spirit with which you do it? And all I'm saying is there's the doer and there's the beer. The doer is that first one. And then you go, wow, I realize I need do nothing. And the way of Tao and the way of Zen, no doing. Look at me, I'm just like cosmic. I don't really do much of any. I just, perfect. And for a lot of people, if you're really into doing nothing, then you move to Sedona, Sorry. Fine, I'll work on that, okay? But so this doing nothing, and the students will claim that's the goal because that's the highest they know. You don't know about the other until you actually become it. So people say, oh, it's about not doing, it's about not, and just sitting and being. It isn't. It shifts from the little I, no I, to the real I, the I am. I've said it many, many times, but this is that Donovan song that came from a mantra of the Far East. First there is a mountain, then there is no mountain, then there is. It doesn't end. First there's a mountain, then there's no mountain. Done. It always comes back. You're a parent. You let go of the issues and the addictions of your children and all the you set boundaries. You do codependent work and all that stuff. Then you will come back to being a parent again, even if you never speak to them, because there'll be a new you parenting them. It won't be one that's fighting with, nor withdrawing from, but I am. And you'll take, if they're in a crisis, you might offer some suggestions. But you're not going to give in and enable their addictions. You'll just say, no, but if you need a suggestion for kind of a counselor, sure. I don't want counselors' names. I want money. Did you not get that in my email? I should have capitalized the word never, So it's fine. It's coming from a different place. But so, too, do we come from as a lover, as a partner, as an employer, employee. Everything changes. And we're not doing that one time linearly. This is a constant. Small wheels within a bigger wheel. This shifts in me, this shifts in me, this one over here, this one over. This one went back a notch for some reason. That's going to come around again for more work. So at the end of the day, everything is about our search for God. Now, how are you doing in your search is what we really come back and ask ourselves. How are we doing? So if things are going well, if we're seeing like positive expressions, because it's all a search for God or an expression of not searching for. Okay? But it's all about God. Because even when I slip and I'm not showing progress towards God, I'm still going to feel that and be brought back to that tomorrow with a new lesson. It never actually goes away. There's no hell that you eternally go to. You're just going to feel like you're in eternal hell when you're not on the path. Because you'll have lessons coming up. And all it is harder lessons. I mean, what's hell? Well, that's where you're burning a pitchfork for thousands of years. And well, yeah, that's called karma. That's just called reincarnation. And you're in this fire forever. Yeah, it's called earth. And you just keep doing the same incarnations until you're free of hell. How? When you decide to get out. And say, I'm going to get this. I got it now. Time to forgive. Time to move forward. Time to be what I keep talking about. So there's that movement. So everything is really, when someone's demonstrating, whether it's words, actions, thoughts, whatever, when someone's demonstrating what you would maybe think of to be as a positive experience, it's showing they're probably reflecting progress on the path to God. Make sense? So it's not just good karma, bad karma. Forget that. Just instead, how am I doing? And when I feel a great day, when I was struggling with something, let's say a relationship, and then all of a sudden I just felt some peace come over me, that cannot happen accidentally. I have to have on some level, at some point in time, had to have made a decision to make the step in my search for God, somewhere along the way. Yes, you could call it good karma, but I'm saying all of these things that come back to us are things we've done and earned. They're not arbitrary. The ego doesn't allow it to become obvious. Because if it were obvious, you would then start assigning more and more things to positive experiences. It makes it arbitrary. It's like today you could have woken up, with perfect Om Mani Padme and prayer and, gongs and crystal bowls and ate your organic stuff and drank purified water. Great. And something before you even leave the house hits you in some way. A phone call, or you trip and stub your toe. And I don't get it. I started my day perfectly. It doesn't work like that. Because if it did, you would go, I like this. Now I know what to do to get every day to go well. So I can start my day perfectly and something go wrong because the thing that went a little off could be a lesson from 5 days ago, 5 lifetimes ago. You'll never know the exact route per se. And you don't want to know. You don't need to obsess on that. All you need to know is something's come up. And anything that comes up is simply a test. What am I supposed to do with tests? Generally, pass them. Just pass the test. Do I have to have straight A's with it? No. The universe is pretty lenient. You get to have an A, a B, a C, a D, anything but fail. You can that's how I did in school. Any grade, any grade but an F might work out. But you see what I'm saying is the universe is so lenient. Only one of those letters represents you failed your test. And then the universe doesn't say, wow, you failed. We're sorry. You were on your walk towards God, but you failed. Tell him what we have for him, St. Peter. Well, we've got some beautiful parting gifts on your way to hell. It doesn't actually happen like that. Right? It doesn't happen like that. The universe says, oh, A, B, C, D, great. Even A plus, B minus, all that. And then D minus, and then fail. And then what does it do? It simply walks around to the people that failed, catches them. They never fall. They just failed momentarily. Catches them and says, all right, you had a lot of opportunities for the easy way. We have another way that we're going to be able to bring this back to you, sweetheart, beloved. Okay? Oh, thank you. Shoulder rub and all right, getting all ready. And it really does, when you're in the hands of the Holy Spirit or Divine Mother, it does always feel like, I got it. As soon as she sets you free into the lessons themselves, feeling like she's not there, it's not there, we start to panic again. And then we start to allow these eyes, not our heart that was connected a moment ago, we allow these eyes to determine our state of being. And these eyes are going to say, first of all, I'm feeling all connected. Oh, it's like being in the womb, the embryonic fluid. I'm being fed without even having to do anything. The womb, the mother's holding me. Everything's really lovely. And there's a moment where the child is birthed. You know, it doesn't usually come out in lotus position, like, you know. It comes out, there's some discomfort, there's some this and that. And look what happens. I mean, whether they still do the swat on the bottom or not, a lot of them are going to say now the baby's just been born. They're already putting needles to make it bleed so they can do blood samples. It's kind of twisted. But it's a metaphor of us being born into this place. Even in the mother's womb, we're not always feeling great because mom's not always Gandhi, you know. Like sometimes she's got some stuff going on. And with her partnerships and whatever, a fear of having a baby, whatever's going on. So we get that too, but just metaphorically. We're in this womb, and we are in a temperature that feels right. We are being sustained and fed in a certain way. We're being taken care of. That's like being on the other side, in a sense. As soon as we're born, it does feel like a rude awakening. And it's just like when we have these meditations in the morning, and then you say, now I'm ready to go into the world. You're just birthing another day. And birth often brings with it birth pains. The mother's having birth pains bringing me out, which is really a combination of things going on. Now I'm finally coming into the world. They're already sticking me with things to get blood samples. That's, you know, your IDs at the bank and whatever else that you have to present to prove who you are. You know, the job that's always challenging you. Listen, you know, you've quadrupled sales. You're the number one person in our company throughout the nation. Wow. We want you to double sales next month. Like, it's never enough. And that baby's not even doing anything. And people are moving it and on the scale. And, you know, I broke a collarbone once when I was a kid. I don't remember the pain and all that, but I know I broke a collarbone and I was sad or crying about it. Probably 5 years old or something like that. And what I remember is them laying me on this ice cold aluminum table. I remember that more than anything else about it. So when you take this baby and they put it on a scale, and it's really strange, the kinds of things we're doing seemingly what I'll call insensitively. And that's again back to where I started. Love means I care, and caring means how can I help? You know, and instead of this might be a little cold, you know, to a baby and pricking its foot. You know, it's challenging stuff. The things we have created as our life and our world. The Holy Spirit is trying to say to us, you're never without me. And those of us who have had, you know, major abuses or traumas of any kind, we could easily argue that. No, you definitely weren't there when this happened, because I remember asking for help and help did not come. The help isn't there to answer our linear statements, because technically, if you said to the Holy Spirit by any name, I don't care if it's Ganesh or whatever, any name, if you said, I need help because this is happening to me, do you understand that technically, if the help came to get you out of that specific situation, it could tempt you to think that that specific situation is actually happening and has power over you? By prayers being answered the way you want them answered, you're actually subconsciously trying to affirm that this problem has power and it's real. God is asking us to pray differently. Help me see this through your eyes is the way we're supposed to be praying. Not, God, I want you to come here and see this through my eyes and fix it according to what I want. That's actually damaging, guys. It doesn't sound damaging because we all think we know what's right. So it doesn't always come across as those spirits with us. I get that. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong for feeling that. You're feeling that because that's how it feels. The good news is we're already home. We never left. You can't leave God and go to hell and then eventually come back if you've prayed enough. We're in heaven. We're part of God, dreaming that we're here, going through hell. Then we want our hell dream to be fixed with other dreams. God, in case you're caring and a loving God, apparently I'm told you are, so you'll clearly do what I want. And here's the situation. I'm in a relationship with a terrible person. Of course, that terrible person is part of the nightmare, the karma of believing we're separate and going through these karma kinds of things. But I have an answer. Give me a happier illusion to replace that one and I'll be fine. You see, and that's not how it's going to work. The solution, salvation, comes from us becoming God. Not asking God to fix things that aren't very becoming, but rather, how can I see through your eyes? Teach me and show me how to see the situation through your eyes. That's more powerful and more profound and more miraculous than saying, I simply want my way. Any good, really, person that's deep, even just a gardener, would say to you, if I could just buy an orange versus grow an orange, which one is the more grand experience? You know, a person that does this, they get it. They're like, there's nothing like it. It's so, just trippy. I had a retreat center many years ago for many years. And, I never did veggies and all that kind of thing. I've talked about that, but never did that. But we had an organic garden that was very pretty. But beautiful organic garden. It's maybe the size of this room or something, but beautiful. I never ate anything in that place, but it was beautiful. And you know what? Even without eating it, I appreciated there was something about the vibration of folks going in there, preparing seeds, preparing soil, doing the whole thing. I would go and sit in there, just sit in and smell the smells. And I thought, this is just glorious. I wasn't drawn to eat anything, but I was soaking it in a different kind of a way. And since then, I've started to try some things recently, but it's like, wow, there's something different when it's an actual experience than just a purchase, let's say. I'm not saying you're wrong for buying a veggie. I'm just saying there's something added. I remember, when I was a kid and a guy was showing me he was doing something mechanical, with heavy equipment or whatever. And there was this one part that was stuck into another part and they couldn't free it. So he's passing it around to all these youngsters, the new newbies. And people are hammering and they're just trying to pry these two parts apart from each other. And it's like, wow. And it was amazing. Another guy'd get another and put this in a vise. Okay, tighten it up. Whack, whack with a hammer and bigger hammer. You need a bigger hammer. And everybody came up with these ideas. And the old guy's just watching. And they're like, man, it's stuck. He goes, let me check. He goes, yeah, you're right, it is. Took it out of the vise, turned, dropped it on the floor, broke the two parts apart, freed them apart, He goes, okay, there you go. And everybody's thinking, we just spent an hour, everybody's each spent an hour trying to free these two parts. He just dropped it on the ground. Experience. So I call that a grandmother's wisdom, where a parent might still be trying to do something for a child, and there's a different wisdom that comes from, I understand, I know. And it's ingrained in us. It's almost like it's part of us now. It's not just in here, it's a part of our consciousness now. We were made in God as part of God. We were not made over here and tossed into the universe like dice on a table in a casino. It's not like that. Good luck. And some of you, ooh, look at you. Double sixes, and somebody else, snake eyes, and whatever else is the good luck and bad luck omens on the dice, that's us supposedly, and it's not like that at all. God didn't say you're there and go over there. God said you're here and you're always here. And we said, I have an idea. What if we weren't here? What would life be like if we weren't in a state of perpetual bliss? Ta-da! And then the universe was created, and we entered the universe and started living that experience. Not easy to understand, but all the masters of old and all the Far East, how they talk about this is all a dream within a dream. It's all a dream. It's hard to understand that, but it's a dream. My point is simply this. We never left God, but we did manufacture it and dream that we left. And the life we're living is, it seems really challenging and tumultuous and traumatic at times. No. All things are one of two things. Our return home or our frustrations of not feeling like we're returning home. That's all it is. When I have challenges, all they're doing is reflecting the moments I feel like I'm not getting there. Everything is about our journey home. We're not even apart from God. But while you're in the illusion, you're going to believe you're on a journey, so fine, embrace it. But are you going to embrace I'm on the spiritual path, or are you going to embrace your resistance to it? Everything that's challenging and goes wrong mirrors our resistance to being on the path. Oh, because some of you, yeah, you're really challenged apparently, because I can tell by your life, you have a terrible life. So you must be one of the challenging people that don't want to go home, unlike me. No, you're even reflecting my challenges. If I don't like you, I've pushed my challenges away, and now they're going to have to come back and manifest in my life. If I can see that your challenges are your experiencing, but your experiences, but you're a part of me, we're in this together. How can I help rather than sucks to be you? How can I help? Because I'm no further on than the part of you that believes you're further on. Even if you're further on, all you are is the dream of those other people of what it's like to be further on. We're all in this together. You're just variations of my dream, and I'm a variation of your dream. We're all in this together. We need to start, that's what affirmations are about, affirming the truth of God. So we're all in this, and I'm not saying it's easy. We can affirm love, peace, abundance, joy, and all that. Then you get a call. And then something happens. And it's the strangest thing. You can pray and meditate this morning. You could be on the road still praying, listening to spiritual tunes on the radio. Everything going really blissfully. And then still stuff happens. All it is a test to make you believe you're not on the path, that you're not on your way home, and eventually realizing that you are home. So everything is, I'm not home, I'm on my way home, or I am home. And it can be distilled down even further. It's all about, I am home, and yet I'm forgetting. That's all. When I forget, it hurts. Just like a child having a nightmare. As soon as the lights are on or it's gently awakened, it starts to calm down. But in the nightmare, it feels very real. A quote I've shared probably at least a few times, Yogananda. It's all an illusion, Master Yogananda. It's all an illusion. So then why does life seem to hurt so badly? Well, a dreamt head bumped against a dreamt rock brings you dreamt pain. It's a great answer. It is a dream, but you're thinking you're in it. So in the dream, your head will seem to bump against something and it's going to bring you pain. It's all an illusion, but it's one you believe in, so it's still happening. So at the end of the day, please remember the following. We all have to recognize the following, one step at a time. One step at a time. Do me a favor, though. Don't stir about, but just right now gently close your eyes. Don't stir about. If you need to, you can, but just close your eyes and absorb the following. How do I speed along my awakening process each day and on an as-needed basis? First, we have to recognize and own any unhappiness we have, any unhappiness whatsoever. We can't be happy without God. So we have to own we are not ever happy and content without God. It doesn't matter what tradition or word you put it in, but just hear yourself saying that in some gentle, clear way. I can never truly be happy without God. I get it. I own it. It lessens the amount of attempt for us to manufacture our own way. Never at peace without God. Never happy without God. Never joyous without God. Acceptance of that. Secondly, if it's true, and it is, that I can never be truly happy without God, the second step would be, I think I'm ready to truly see the value of being with God. If being without removes my happiness, peace, and joy, then I'm going to start believing in the value of connecting with God. We're not trying to connect yet, we must believe there's a value in it. We must first see there's a valuelessness of being in pain. It's worthless. It does us no good. But we also have to do the opposite. There is a value in connecting with God. No solution yet, just accepting there is a value in connecting with God. Third, I am committed, therefore, to finding God. Don't try to be too cosmic, one step at a time. And it's kind of like moving up the chakras. My root chakra, all my primal needs, stuff of this world, it makes me feel separate. That's why I need to recognize I'm not happy without God. The second chakra brings me in that state. I think there's a value, emotionally. There's a value in finding God. Third, the intellectual, the mental chakra. I am committed. That's the fire in us. I'm committed. I am determined to find God. Not going further yet, just the commitment. And fourth, my heart. I am committed to the steps I need to take. In my heart and soul, I am fully committed. And this heart of mine will speak to all the other parts of me, all my other chakras, all the other parts of my being, and will say to them, to it, to me, we're going in this direction, guys. I rule the soul. I rule the rest of me. Committed to taking the proper steps. And then, step 5, just imagine ascending gently up into the upper 3 chakras all combined. Here's where now I need do nothing but give thanks. I'm giving thanks for every bit of my progress. If all I took was one step forward today, progress, that's great. What if I stalled or didn't take a step, or even took a step backwards? What can I learn from that? And now it makes it a step forward again. I refuse. Failure is not an option. Cannot be happy without God. I'm very clear there's a value in finding God. I'm committed to discovering that and finding God. I'm committed and to taking the proper steps to get there. Once I do that, let go, let God, and I give thanks. Take just a half a minute more and walk through that a little bit on your own. And breathe in the idea. Everything in my life is either reflecting that I'm home or lessons related to not feeling like I'm home. I'm home or lessons that will help take me home. Everything's about home because we're already there. Have I done something wrong when I feel like I'm not at home? Because it sure doesn't feel like it sometimes. I have a little tragedy or major tragedies. I witness them, I hear them. That doesn't feel very home, heaven-like. Is there something wrong? No, not at all. It means today something got the best of me. The physical pain, or what I heard, what I saw, that's this world. It's going to try to get the best of me. So imagine even in your weakest moments, you're being feeling frail and so on and fragile and the world's getting the best of you. You still have the power and the right to say, well, yes, it definitely feels like it's getting the best of me. And isn't this funny? Because as much as there is evidence to prove to me that I'm powerless and that I'm not at home, isn't this funny? Because I really am. You can still say it because it's true. So you can say, despite feeling this, I am at home in God. Despite someone not liking me and make me feel unlovable, isn't that funny? Because I am completely loved by the only being that ever matters. Own that it feels one way and replace it with another. Own it, surrender it and replace it with another. That's free will. That's the power of choice. It's the only real necessary power of choice, is to choose the only thing that's real, true, and powerful. The only thing that would change the circumstance that has me in pain. Therefore, every choice I make is a prayer, because prayers are always about wanting to improve a situation or giving thanks for a situation. So I give thanks when I'm connected, and when I'm not feeling connected, I pray to get connected. By owning that I'm not feeling that way, a willingness to give that up, and a choice to accept something new. Or back to those 5 steps again that I gave a moment ago. Just a feeling of gratitude, a feeling of closure, a feeling of, I got it. And so it is. Thank you.